Things I wanted to cover. Not a crazy news week. Number one, I talked about E3 2019, how E3 is coming back. E3 coming back in 2023 is coming back with the assistance of ReedPop. Now, who is ReedPop? ReedPop is the organization that helps put on events like PAX, PAX East, PAX West, not GolfCon. That being said, their specialty is how do you make an event really appeal to the average quote-unquote consumer. And I'm not a big fan of that term because human beings are more than consumers. But what I would say is the gaming lady, if you will. E3 is traditionally a tentpole event for trade shows, announcing new games for the press, for game developers, for game publishers. And as they integrated the casual fan into the situation, what ended up happening is a loss of identity. What is the purpose of this event? And so by the time 2019 happened, it was a little bit more of a confusing situation. A lot more regular fans were there, but there weren't a whole ton of games there, specifically new games. I will say this, out of all the people around, there was one company that did a great job, or two companies that did a great job of making E3 2019 feel like it was about the new stuff on the way, but also integrating fans into it well. That was also Fortnite. Fortnite had an awesome live event. They had like a bunch of, I don't know how to say it, but essentially like American Gladiator type events that you could participate in. They were bananas. They were blue bananas. There were things people had to jump over, and you could play the game while you were there. And then on top of that, it was 2K. 2K had a pretty interesting Borderlands event. They brought in streamers, but they put the streamers in these kind of live glass, like checker boxes that were stacked. And so you'd walk by and you'd see these walls of famous streamers playing the new game. Again, at the time, I had no interest in Borderlands, but they did a good job. Again, the whole idea, though, with ReedPop is that hopefully they will be able to have 2023 E3 be something a bit different, but also maintain that original identity while appealing a bit more to the casual fans that are going to be there. So I think it's a good thing overall. I don't know what you guys think. Leave a comment, say something in chat. Curious in general. Again, I think it matters. E3 is critical to gaming. I don't think you get the success of the gaming industry as a whole if it didn't have such a coherent kind of tentpole calendar around new games and old games overall. Other news, PS5. So Sony PlayStation, Sony company is getting sued because of PS5. There's a new lawsuit around the PlayStation 5. I don't know what's going to come out of it, but essentially it comes down to the fact that PlayStation 5, as it came out, had this known issue where it would just crash on certain games, stop playing, and you'd have to basically reboot the game again. Frankly, I don't know if it was highly ubiquitous amongst PS5 users. I think the lawsuit specifically quotes a lot of Amazon reviews and website reviews to essentially aggregate its argument. But the point being is I don't know how much merit the argument will have in the long run, since Sony PlayStation has openly acknowledged this issue from the beginning and has said that if you're experiencing this issue, your PlayStation 5 is eligible for a fix under warranty. So not exactly sure what the goal is of it. I think it's a wait and see approach similar to the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Again, Nintendo was having issues with Joy-Con drift, as a lot of joysticks do. That being said, Nintendo was openly working towards fixing them. I don't believe there were any major lawsuits back in the day with the Red Ring of Death. Maybe there were, but I think what matters ultimately is if a company, one, knew about this before they released it, and or B, chose to do nothing to fix it or remediate the issue with those who are having it. And I think with PlayStation acknowledging that this could be something fixed under warranty, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But again, we'll wait and see. More news to come. Other gaming news, I'm excited about this one. Dead Cells, a great game that came out from Motion Twin, I want to say, a Canadian development company. Really interesting development structure, but within that company. That being said, they made Dead Cells 2017. Again, it's been out for over 5 years now, and what do you know? There is a brand new roadmap on the way. This roadmap is basically claiming that by 2023, you'll have the most exciting year in Dead Cells history, which is kind of crazy since Dead Cells has had a ton of success. In some sense, has had its rise, and in another way had its kind of meteoritic kind of fall. Not really a fall, but it's essentially not quite as big as it was. But within this summer, they're saying there's going to be some new weapons, some item balancing, and some new legendary items to come. Then by fall 2022, you're going to have a new boss, rush mode, and then by winter 2022, they're promising surprises. There's some Christmas gifts. I think I saw St. Nicholas there. He might have been punching a heretic. I don't know. That being said, come 2023, they're claiming that it's going to be the most exciting year ever in Dead Cells history, and I find that awesome because Dead Cells, I think, does two things extremely well. It makes a roguelike game palpable or palatable, one or the other, to the average gamer, I think extremely well. And it also does Metroidvania type games brilliantly in respect to that roguelike genre. So those two things, along with having the best combat, I think, in any 2D platformer around, make Dead Cells a must-have game. If you haven't picked it up, you can pick it up on virtually every platform. It has about 2 or 3 DLCs. I think one of the DLCs is completely free. It's not a game you will get bored of at all, in my opinion. And if you've played a game like Rogue Legacy or Rogue Legacy 2, you'll be very familiar with what Dead Cells is about, but with a very different theme and slightly different combat. So check it out, Dead Cells. More news to come 2023. I'm excited. I love the game. I love the company behind it. I think they've done some awesome things. Other gaming news, John Romero of Doom fame, so the two Johns behind Doom, and essentially the game that revolutionized 3D gaming in general, excuse me, and gaming in general with PC gaming and 3D graphics and all of that good stuff. John Romero being the designer behind the original Doom game, unlike John Carmack, who was the developer. I don't want to get into details, but John Carmack's a genius as well. But Romero and his studio are promising a brand new first-person shooter, brand new IP as well. So John Romero kind of had a rise and fall in some sense. He was a big developer, big designer. And by the time the 90s were ending, there was a lot of promise around a new game he was working on called Daikatana, saying that Daikatana is going to revolutionize games, shooter games, just like Doom did. Ultimately, Daikatana came out to some horrible press, and from what I understand, was a pretty rough game overall. But what's going on is that his company, he's been around for a few years now, this new company. He actually works with his wife. They released a real-time tactic game called Empire of Sin, essentially where you're a mob boss in America during the age of Prohibition. It came out in 2020, 2021. It's been around for a bit. I haven't played it. I know people are interested in it. But they're working on, with quote-unquote a major publisher, a brand new first-person shooter IP. Who knows what can happen out of this? I think the most interesting thing is that Romero is working with Unreal 5, and if they have some decent talent around it, which they're hiring major ways right now, it could be exciting to see. I think I'm excited to see any new game in Unreal 5 as an engine, though, overall. So who knows? John Romero, again, credited for a lot of the great things in the gaming industry since the 90s. And one of my favorite games, so I'm interested, to say the least, about what could come from this. But overall, he and himself necessarily hasn't been able to do a lot of great things since Doom and since him and Carmack were together. I think they were better as a duo. But again, Carmack's done great things as well. I mean, without Carmack, you don't have a lot of the technology behind the Quest as well. A lot of VR technology, a lot of VR gaming technology comes from what John Carmack has done on top of that too. So Carmack's a genius. That being said, enough about that. Two other tidbits of information, talking about one of the favorite streaming platforms of P-Tony in the back here, Netflix. As of August 18th, Tekken Bloodlines is going to be coming out on Netflix. Tekken Bloodlines is an anime, adaptation of the Tekken game. And I don't know if any of you have played Tekken, but I find this extremely interesting. I think it always had an interesting story about family, the problems of family. And the trailer I posted in our Discord, you can go ahead and check it out if your fans are in the Discord. Looks really good. I mean, I will say Netflix anime overall has surprised me. I enjoyed aspects of the Castlevania show. I did not enjoy aspects of it as well, but overall I thought it was one of the best video game adaptations of anything I've ever seen. So I've been waiting. That being said, August 18th, so literally within a month, we will have a full-on Tekken anime show, and I think there was an animated Tekken movie in the 90s, early 2000s. I'm not quite sure. Might have been King of Fighters. I can't remember, but definitely check out the trailer. Again, Tekken Bloodlines coming soon. Another new announcement, Castlevania Nocturne. This is about a month old now, but I'm excited about this. It's going to be out by the end of 2023 as of what we know now, but it's different from the original 4 seasons of Castlevania. So far, this one's actually about Richter Belmont, and Richter Belmont being in Dracula X, I want to say. I'm excited about this one. It looks like it could be a very different telling of a story from what we're used to. And it may be a little bit of a chance to redeem itself with the overall Dracula story. So looking forward to that one. And then 2 other little bits of information in this week's Game Bites. 2 new games that have hit the market. One now on PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass, exclusive to Game Pass for now. As Dusk Falls, it is a story-driven adventure game, if you will. Not really adventure as if you're platforming, but it's a story-driven, almost graphic novel. I should say it as that. Looks like it has a ton of choice in it, and it's so far coming out to a lot of good reviews. It's a story of family, a story of needs, a story of crime, and the animation style looks to be really beautiful and interesting and unique. If you have Game Pass, I recommend checking it out. It's not going to cost you a darn thing, except the fact that, you know, there's the sunk cost associated behind it, but maybe sunk cost is just a fallacy, as they say. That being said, As Dusk Falls out in a new game. The #1 game on Steam for the past few weeks, if not a couple months, is Stray by Annapurna Interactive. And I wasn't going to talk about this because I wasn't going to talk about it, but then Peter made me talk about it. Is it responding to chat. We'll get to that. I see it. That being said, Stray looks really interesting. One, Annapurna Interactive is such an interesting company, in my opinion. They're associated with Annapurna Film Studios, which is behind films like Zero Dark 30 and truly, truly grand art house films that have come out to great reception. So Annapurna Interactive, associated with that type of similar brain production, is making these really interesting games and continues to take a lot of risks you don't typically see within video gaming. Kentucky Route Zero is a very famous one of theirs. I've not played it, but I've seen it. I've read about it. I've seen how people appreciate it and the music in it. There's a lot of interesting stuff about something like Kentucky Route Zero. A new game, Neon White, that's really tearing up the charts. Very, very quick, little bite-sized, twitchy shooter that's all about kind of time trials, also published by them. And now you have this game. They're publishing a lot of games that aren't what you typically see. And Stray is the game about a stray cat in a cyberpunk world. It's adventure, it's platformer, a lot of story and interaction. So far, people are very, very excited about it. People seem to be enjoying it. I will not play it because it just doesn't seem like the game to me. Chat or commenters, if you think someone should cover it, I think that person should be Peter, and I think that person should play it and download it right now. That was for you, Proot. That being said, it's out. I think it's actually on the Steam Deck, and if there's one way I would ever play it, it's if I would play it on the Steam Deck. So there you go, new games to keep an eye out for. There's obviously going to be a lot more coming out soon. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on its way out. Interesting thing there, they did announce with that the collector's edition is something you can buy separate from the game itself, which is different from what God of War, the Mega Edition, whatever it's called, I forget now, Jotnar Edition is doing. By the way, that special edition I covered the other week, $260. $260, no disc. Again, you get the game, and I don't know what Sony's monetization tactics are, but the fact that logistically they had to make that decision makes me wonder exactly where was that Jotnar edition getting produced, and where are the rest of the games and discs getting produced as well. $260 for a steelbook case with no game. Obviously you get a hammer, but it's not a real hammer, so I digress. That's it. That's Game Bites. We're going to get this uploaded on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts on what you think.